first qualifying laps. But a very tricky scenario and a great turn of events for all of the contenders who are doing their best to get themselves up to speed. But obviously very scary stuff at this moment in time. So everybody's getting themselves up to speed. So the cars are weaving from side to side still, trying to get themselves up to temperature in Q1. Very important to get yourselves dialed in. Let's give you a bit of an up-to-date in terms of what's been happening over the practice sessions yesterday for those who weren't able to keep an eye on it. A 1:48.043 came in yesterday for Andrea Kimi Antonelli, championship leader and the fastest time from practice one yesterday. Sami Megatunov in second from Joshua Dirksen, Aidan Neate and Luke Browning. Then Lorenzo Flusha, Rafael Camara, Brad Benavides, whose car is repaired after the race one shunt 3 days ago. Sebastian Montoya in 9th and Taz Intervovazak in 10th. Ahead of Nikhil Bora, Matthias Zagazeta and Taylor Barnard, who is now Antonelli's nearest challenger for the title. We'll tell you about that in a short while. There is Wang Zhongwei, whose car had a big accident in this morning's practice session when the left front of the car just completely buckled underneath him. The wheel just ripped from the push rods. There was nothing Wang Zhongwei could do. It was a similar style of incident to Sebastian Buemi in China a few years ago, only it happened to one wheel rather than two. And poor Wang Zhongwei, completely blameless in that incident. It brought out the red flags during warm-up this morning, and it was pretty scary, actually. In the second practice session yesterday, we had Andrea Kimi Antonelli drop his time to a 1:47.6, ahead of Mari Boya and Lorenzo Flusha, the two Spaniards. Aidan Neate ahead of Sami Megatunov and Josh Dirksen. Then Luke Browning, Michael Shin, Nikhil Bora and Sebastian Montoya ahead of Martinius Stenshorn, who is one of the new drivers for this week, and Taylor Barnard, once again in P12. Now, we've talked about practice session results from yesterday. Now we get to talk to you about driver shuffles. It's always interesting, the transfer market in motorsport, and we've had a few shuffles of the deck in Formula Regional Middle East in 2023. Because things have changed just a little bit here this time. We have 3 new competitors taking to the circuit. Sorry, we should say we have 2 new competitors taking to the circuit here this week, because we now have a bit of a driver shuffle. Martinius Stenshorn has come into the RHGP team to replace the Italian Francesco Braschi. So Martinius Stenshorn, the Norwegian, very quick in the car, so keep an eye for him. He's definitely going to ruffle some feathers if he can. Ayato Iwasaki, the Japanese driver, has come into the Pinnacle Van Amersfoort squad to replace the Spaniard Pepe Marti, who is now back off to Europe to prepare for his upcoming FIA Formula 3 campaign. And you may notice that the number 53 high-tech is missing. There is no sign of Gabriele Mini. The Italian has also returned to Europe, but there is nobody in the car to replace him. So there will be no driver in car number 53. As everybody knows, it is the best number in motorsport. Those who know me personally will know why. But the number 53 car will sadly not be driving this week. So Gabriele Mini is out of the car and he will not continue. So there's no Dino Beganovic either. Dino Beganovic has also left, despite winning 2 of the races so far this year. He's also got to go back to Europe to prepare for his upcoming campaign. But there is no Dino Beganovic for the rest of the season now either. And he has been replaced at the Mumbai Falcons squad by the rising star Kirill Smal, who has come into the team very rapidly indeed and is already setting very strong pace. So watch out for Kirill Smal. And as has been pointed out a few times already on the stream, happy birthday, Luke Browning. What a great way to spend a birthday. Getting up to speed in the Formula Regional car for high-tech. Not bad at all. So this is first qualifying for Formula Regional Middle East 2023, round 3 here at Kuwait Motor Town, and the first flying laps are coming in. Right, Andrea Kimi Antonelli has banged in a 1:50.7. That's the gauntlet thrown down, and he's already gone faster in the first split. Although he has been beaten already by Aidan Neate, the British driver, really starting to push on. Now, it looks as though Dan Mavlyutov has had his best time deleted for exceeding track limits. So Dan Mavlyutov of the high-tech team, he has currently got himself in 7th place ahead of Montoya and Browning. So a fascinating situation. So So this is the first of 2 qualifying sessions that we'll have this morning. They'll finish this session, come into the pits, change tyres, and then go back out again for Q2. The times from this session will set the grid for race 1. The times from the following session will set the grid for race 3, with the race 2 grid determined by the race results of race 1, with the top 10 drivers reversed. That's how it works in Formula Regional Middle East. And it really does provide us with some amazing drama throughout the weekend. But now that Dino Beganovic, who is second in the championship standings, has left the series to go back to Europe to prepare for his European campaign, there are 2 drivers really in the battle for the title now. Andrea Kimi Antonelli and Taylor Barnard, who managed to pick up a win last week, despite the fact we didn't really talk about him winning, because Joshua Dufek crossed the line in first position and won the race brilliantly with some amazing driving. But sadly, a technical infringement meant that he was excluded from the race results. Very unfortunate indeed. And so it was Taylor Barnard who was awarded the victory post-race. Nikhil Bora promoted to second, and promoted to his first podium of the year was the Brazilian Rafael Camara. Now, a question comes in from Fiona exclamation mark on YouTube. Do the Bora brothers race under different national licenses? Yes, they do. Now, the rules about national racing licenses is a very weird and obscure thing. I don't want to go into it in too much detail because, frankly, it would depress me and bore me to absolute rigidity. But basically, drivers do not always race under the licenses where they come from, and it happens quite a lot in the world of junior single-seater racing. It depends on where you live, it depends on where you're based, and it depends on, well, a number of things that, quite frankly, don't really require the benefit of oxygen. So we'll take into account where the drivers are actually from. We'll talk about it till the cows come home, and we'll just focus on the racing, because the politics and the licenses are really not my thing. I'm not interested. There is Taylor Barnard. He's definitely very interesting to me, though. Currently in the fight for the championship. 19 points adrift from Kimi Antonelli. As I said to him last night, that's less than a race win. And he said to me, well, if I finish second and Antonelli doesn't finish that race, we're right in the hunt. And he said to me, I should be leading the championship already. So we know we can win this. Taylor Barnard in motivated mode. Right, Sami Megatuniv bangs in a quick lap. Josh Dirksen gets a 147 in. Here we go. Josh Dirksen, a 147.8. Now, expect the Hyderabad Blackbirds to be at the top as much as possible. They did this 3 days ago, and that start line pile-up in race 1 robbed them of some amazing results. So they're going to be up for it. Kimi Antonelli goes second now, a 147.896, just 77 thousandths of a second off the pace. Megatuniv is third, Kamara is fourth, Boyer is fifth, Bedrin doing a great job in sixth, fresh off the back of his announcement that he's going to be racing in F3 in 2023. So Nyingyu needs to know the answer. Where's Gabriele Mini? Is he not racing this round? Indeed he is not. He has returned to Europe. So Gabriele Mini has decided to sit out the remainder of the Formula Regional Middle East Championship. So here's Taylor Barnard. What can he do with his big flying lap? Where's he going to end up in the top few positions? Barnard has not come through to set a fast lap yet. This is him really getting up to speed. So Barnard is getting on with it, but he's at the back for the moment. He's going to wait for his chance. Now, Kimi Antonelli's last lap time has been disallowed. The car exceeded track limits at turn 19. So Kimi's really pushing, as you can tell. Fastest of all in Sector 1, though, is Joshua Dirksen again. So the pole sitter continuing on his way. So Joshua Dirksen pushing on at the top spot. Kimi Antonelli, second place. Third is Sami Megatuniv, then Rafael Camara, Nikita Bedrin, Mari Boyer, Townsend Vuvuzak, Lorenzo Flusha, Brad Benavides in the top 10, and Aidan Neat is 10th. This is great work from Benavides to bounce back. So this is going to be a fascinating situation, but the battle for the title is clearly likely to be played out between Antonelli and Barnard as Mari Boyer goes third over the line. And now we have 1, 2, and 3 for the Hyderabad Blackbirds by MP Motorsport. Josh Dirksen ahead of Sami Megatuniv and Mari Boyer. 1, 2, and 3. Kimi Antonelli is down to 4th. Then Kamara. Then Bedrin. Benavides. Villa Gomez. Indra Vuvuzak and Flusha. That's your top 10. Neat is 11th. The birthday boy, Luke Browning, is up to 12th. Kirill Smal ahead of Sebastian Montoya and Nikhil Bora. Then Joshua Dufek. And up comes Levent Doravej. He outpaces Martini Estenshorn. Giovanni Mascio going well in 19th ahead of Michael Shin. Then Ayato Iwasaki, the Japanese driver. Red flag, red flag. And we've had an off in exactly the same place as we did in the F4 session earlier on. A big off. The driver's gone in backwards. Red flag. That's a big spin. Fortunately, it looks as though the driver hasn't hit anything. So let's have a look and see what. Oh, it's Tazid Vuvazak. Oh, he's gone way in. He's gone a long way in there. Tazid Vuvazak is beached in the gravel. That's why we're under red flags. The man who was in the top 10. Look at that. He's gone a long way in. And this is what we were talking about in the F4 UAE Championship qualifying earlier on. With the wind being higher than it is, if you catch a gust of wind at the wrong angle and you're on the curb, it spits you. It's like kicking a football hard into the goal. And you can see Marc Genet there chatting away with the Mumbai Falcons team. He is, of course, a consultant for the Ferrari Young Drivers Programme. So he'll be down there with the Mumbai Falcons and their young charge, Tuka Tarpanen in F4. But he's a good person to get some tips off. But Tazid the Vuvazak is beached. He's a long way into the gravel trap there as well. I don't know if we caught the spin, but it's a big one, isn't it? He's gone a long, long way in. And so, all of a sudden, we've got 2 minutes 42 left in the session. That pretty much tells us that Hyderabad Blackbirds by MP have locked out the top 3 places. I don't realistically see anybody beating those times. It could still happen. It's genuinely possible. So it's a tricky situation, but certainly Josh Dirksen, Sami Megatunif and Mari Boya have given us a clean sweep for the Hyderabad Blackbirds. And there is poor Tazid the Vuvazak, having lost the car, spun it in backwards, trying to go for a better time than 9th place. And I'm afraid the Pinnacle VAR driver is off the road. What a shame. I'll tell you what, the young Thai was doing a grand job as well. It's not easy to handle these Formula Regional cars. They are very different to the F4 car he has graduated from. But you can see for yourself, 2 minutes 42 left on the clock. Not a lot to play with. You can go out and set an out lap, and then that next lap has got to be the one you use. So, a very tricky situation. Well, unfortunate for Tazid the Vuvazak. Unfortunately, I don't know the answer to your question, Rory. Does he lose his best time for causing that red flag? I know he certainly does in other championships. Wouldn't be able to answer you that one, unfortunately. You'd have to be in race control for that one. But I'm sure if he will lose it, you'll learn about it very quickly via the Formula Regional Middle East Championship social media. I don't want to speculate on that one. I certainly wouldn't want to give you information that would be false 5 seconds later. And let's look at the provisional rankings as it stands under red flags. Joshua Dirksen, Sami Megatunif and Mari Boya have locked out the top 3 for the Hyderabad Blackbirds by MP Motorsport squad. What a performance from the Paraguayan, the Frenchman and the Spaniard. There is Josh Dirksen. What a performance. He's only just come back into racing. He only found out 7 days ago that he was going to be racing this car. He literally got the phone call on Tuesday. By the way, Josh, we've got a seat for you in Formula Regional Middle East. Can you get on a plane to Kuwait? I don't know, was the answer. So he tried his best, managed it, and he popped it on pole position for race 1 3 days ago. Never mind today. There's poor Tazid the Vuvazak doing a grand job. But Joshua Dirksen is a bit of a celebrity back home in Paraguay. They absolutely adore this boy. He is putting them back on the international motorsport map, where they deserve to be. And Joshua Dirksen is just flawlessly humbled by all of the support that he gets from Paraguay. So fascinating drama, fascinating situation. So let's look at the top 10 behind the leading trio for the Hyderabad Blackbirds by MP team. There is the second place man, Sami Megatunif, who took the win in race 3 2 days ago. 3 days ago now, goodness me, time does tick on when the weekends are back-to-back. Used to be able to say last week. But there has been a couple of days past since then. Josh Dirksen and Sami Megatunif will be on the front row. Mari Boyer will be on the second row alongside Andrea Kimi Antonelli, if it stays like this at least. Rafael Camara is provisional 5th, alongside Nikita Bedrin, the new signing in Formula 3. Brad Benavides is right up in P7. The Hyderabad Blackbirds by MP crew really have got a good setup underneath them. Benavides puts the 4th car into the top 10 as well. There it is in the background. Slightly different colour scheme to the other 3. 8th position for Rafael Villagomez. The Mexican's doing a grand job. Tazin de Vivazak has just spun it off. There is his car being recovered. It won't go out again. And it'll be 9th provisionally. Lorenzo Flusha is provisional 10th position, ahead of Aidan Neat and Luke Browning, the 2 Brits. Kirill Smal, 13th in his first race event for Mumbai Falcons, replacing Dino Beganovic. Sebastian Montoya, 14th position. Over the last 2 days, he has still had the sector times to be right up at the front, but he just doesn't have the luck. Nikhil Bora, 15th position, ahead of Joshua Dufek. Levente Revej and Martinia Stenchon, the other new face, the Norwegian, for RHGP, replacing Francesco Braschi. Then Giovanni Mascio of the R&B racing team has done a fair job in qualifying this time. He's making big developmental progress. Just 2 seconds off the pace of Josh Dirksen now. He was a lot further back than that before. Michael Shin in 20th. Ayato Iwasaki is 21st. Matthias Zagazeta 22nd. Dan Mavliutov 23rd. Han Shen Yu is in 24th. Niels Kuhlen is in 25th. Get this though. Who's in 26th place? Taylor Barnard. He's going to have to pull out the Dubai job once again. Otherwise, he's going to have to go from the back of the grid to charge his way further forward. So Taylor Barnard is provisional 26th position. And he is, in effect, 2nd place in the standings now after Dino Beganovic left Kuwait late on Sunday to return back to Europe to prepare for his upcoming European race program. So there is no Dino Beganovic this week. There is no Gabriele Mini. There is no Francesco Braschi. And there is also no Pepe Marti. They have all gone back to Europe. But Taylor Barnard is way down in P26 because he hadn't got up to speed yet by the look of it. Well, interestingly, it shows he's done 5 laps, which is the same amount as Dirksen, Megatuniv and Boyer. So I'm not quite sure why Taylor Barnard is all the way down in 26th. Have they got a problem with the PHM car? Because I would assume that Taylor Barnard would end up being similar in terms of pace to his teammates, Nikita Bedrin, who is currently provisional P6, and Josh Dufek, who is provisional P16 at least. So it's very bizarre that Barnard is way down in 26th. Maybe he just wants to be a Lightning McQueen and charge his way through from the back to give us a show, but I don't think he wants to be that low down here in Kuwait. So anybody is going to make a big leap up the table, it's probably going to be Taylor Barnard. And then the man who is currently at the back of the grid is Wang Shengwei, who had some big problems in practice and then had a huge accident this morning in free practice. So we're getting ourselves ready for the restart. Let's look back over that incident from Wang Shengwei in practice this morning, actually. While we've got a bit of a pause, bang, look, the wheel buckles underneath him. Wang Shengwei completely blameless in this particular incident. He may have had a couple of other moments through the course of the weekend, but watch this again. Look, bang, the wheel just buckles. There's no chance for him to get that car slowed down at all. No wonder he threw the red flags. He was okay. They've had to repair the car. But Wang Shengwei, that's a scary moment in this morning's practice session. And obviously now we're in qualifying and we have Tazin de Vivazak, who is back in the car. I think he tried to restart the car and it hasn't happened. Yep, it's not working, guys. Sorry. So Tazin de Vivazak, having been recovered out of the gravel, I think they thought they could do the same thing that they did with Hiro Yamakoshi in the F4 UAE Championship qualifying session earlier on and just get him moving, but it hasn't worked like that. Well, that's a big disaster. Not just for Tazin de Vivazak, but for us wanting to get qualifying under starters' orders again. So this is a really interesting situation then for the contenders. But there is Davide Vivazak walking in, provisional 9th position. Now this is a bit of a crazy scenario coming up because we've got 2 minutes 42 left of the qualifying session under red flags. The drivers know they've got to make use of that outlap and then bang in their fastest lap of the session immediately after. They can't afford to waste any time, particularly if you are number 5, Taylor Barnard. No more wasting time. You've got to provide the big lap time. It's got to come now. Backs are very much against the wall. There is one of the GT tyres that are being used by Marty Boyer in 3rd position. They only get 3 sets of tyres for a race meeting from the start of qualifying through to the end of the 3rd race. You only get 3 sets of tyres and you get to choose when you use them. In pretty much every single circumstance, the drivers will take a fresh set for session 1 of qualifying, a fresh set for session 2 of qualifying, and then you've got a used set twice. You've got 2 used sets, and then you've got a very interesting situation with 1 fresh set of tyres a little bit later on. And drivers can obviously choose when to use that fresh set of tyres. They'll usually tend to use it when they're in the best possible positions. So the contenders are still gearing themselves up ready for an exciting showcase. The Hyderabad Blackbird MP cars are ready. The Bobcat is just removing Taz Indravivazak from the scene. And so the contenders are gearing themselves up ready for another crack at time qualifying in these Formula Regional cars. Such a physical beast to tame. So there the cars are lined up ready. It looks as though the car of Pinnacle driver Tazanapol Indravivazak has now been removed from turn 15. So once the Bobcat is back into its original set position, we can go back to qualifying once again. There is Taz Indravivazak's car, but unfortunately it'll take no further part in the session. So now we are going to go back to the session once again. You can actually see the left rear has buckled. Maybe that was what was the cause of the incident in the first place for Taz Indravivazak. But now we get to go back into qualifying with only 2 minutes and 42. Look at the wind. It is very strong indeed compared to yesterday. Not easy for the drivers to cope with. The cars will feel completely different to the way they felt yesterday during practice. Session will resume at 11:30. That's now. Here we go. No messing around, no waiting. Get out there. Get your skates on. Get a pole position lap. Make it happen, boys. So let's see how the drivers will fare as they get back out onto the circuit once again. Formula Regional Middle East Championship Round 3 continues. Get out, get out, get out. Get onto the circuit. Don't wait. Don't delay. You've got to race to the finish line in order to start this lap. And look at the Mumbai Falcons tactics. 3 of them have gone out and left a bit of space for everybody else. Oh, this is big tactics. And look at the Pramers holding everyone up. They want the Mumbai Falcons up at the front. They want them to be the only ones to get another lap in. Tactics, strategy, ruthless. Well, Sebastian Montoya's got his way to the front of that queue. What about the PHMs? That's the ones we really need to watch for. Interestingly, only one other car other than Indravivazak hasn't gone out onto the circuit, and that is Ayato Iwasaki. So Ayato Iwasaki, the Japanese driver, has not gone out to set the pace. A fascinating situation for all of the contenders out there. 1 minute 10 on the clock. Race back to the line. Make sure you've warmed up your tyres and brakes. You're only going to get one shot. This is like the old days of Formula 1 with the one-shot showdown lap. The only difference is everybody's out together. Less than a minute. So now let's see who is going to get the opportunity. Who's going to be on the top spot? Will it be a Paraguayan? Will it be a Frenchman? Will it be a Spaniard? Or will it be an Italian? Oh, big moves from drivers trying to get themselves track position. Couple of drivers having to hang back in order to get some space on the circuit. Better make it happen. Better make a good run off the final turn. This is it, your one flying lap. It's now or never, folks. The lap times are coming down, and there's going to be some PHMs at the back who won't make it to the line in time. Looks as though none of the Hyderabad Blackbirds will either. 4, 3, 2, 1, done. Bedrin doesn't make it back. Nor does Boya. Nor does Megatunith. Nor does Dirksen. Those laps are safe and locked in. And what about Barnard? Did he get the lap time started? Yes, he did. Barnard managed to cross the line in time, so he is on a flying lap. So the leading driver who's on a lap is Antonelli. Oh, now that is gamesmanship if ever I've seen it. Antonelli, Kamara, and Flusha are the ones to make their move forward. Now this is a replay. Down at turn 2, whoops. All gone wrong from Mavlyutov. So Dan Mavlyutov has had the problem there in turn 2. A spin from Mavlyutov. Now who's that that's slowing? That's a Mumbai Falcon that's bailed out of the lap. One of the Mumbai Falcons has bailed out. Is that Antonelli? It certainly looked like double digits. So it's either Antonelli or Smal who's bailed out of the lap. Well, that looks like Antonelli's still at speed. So it won't be Antonelli. It must have been, well, it must have been one of the other drivers then to bail out. Maybe Flusha bailed out of the lap. So now, is there going to be an improvement from Kamara, from Antonelli? Kamara's bailed out. Antonelli hasn't improved. So the tactic didn't work. Flusha's crossed the line. Neat has crossed the line. Shin has crossed the line. And it looks like it's made no difference whatsoever. But what about Barnard? Barnard needs to charge forward. Here's Taylor Barnard. He's currently in P26. Where's he going to be? Taylor Barnard goes up to 8th. That's better. Much better for Taylor Barnard. It's not where he wants to be, but it will have to do. And the Hyderabad Blackbirds don't get to start another lap, but they don't get beaten either. 1, 2, and 3. That is a brilliant lockout for the squad, and they can be very happy indeed with that. All the men and women down there working hard for the Hyderabad Blackbirds MP team. 1, 2, and 3. Bish, bash, bosh. Lovely. So that's the end of Q1. They now have Q2 to negotiate. Another 15 minutes will go on the clock, and they get to do it again. Can they make it happen twice? If you're wearing black and the MP Motorsport logo, you can't help but grin right now. 1, 2, and 3 with the 4th car, P7. That's pretty good going, actually. That's what they call a whitewash. Thank you and good night. Q1 ends the way of the boys and girls in black. So now we get to do it all again, and that's the second Paraguayan pole of this Formula Regional Middle East Championship campaign. A week ago, Joshua Dirksen didn't even think he'd be racing. Never mind scoring 2 pole positions. Stupendous work. Well done to the Paraguayan. Vamos, Joshua, says Rafael Amarilla Gonzalez. Too right. What a great performance. So now we get to do it all again for Q2, and that will decide the fate of the starting grid for race 3. But Joshua Dirksen for Paraguay and for the Hyderabad Blackbirds by MP Motorsport team has done the job for the 2nd time in a row. Q1, 4 days ago, he put it on pole position. Guess what, folks? Nothing's changed. He's still fast. Now, car number 18, driver and team manager must report to the stewards after Q2. That is Han Shen Yu. So I'm not sure what the R&B racing driver's done, but clearly he needs to report to the officials after time qualifying. That's unfortunate. Han Shen Yu has been making fairly steady progress in Formula Regional Middle East, the Chinese driver. He and his Chinese teammate Wang Xiongwei and their Italian stablemate, Giovanni Mascio. Well, this is big tension, of course, for the teams. They've had that moment. And despite the tactics from Mumbai Falcons, they didn't lose their top 3 positions, did they, the Blackbirds? They held on to 1, 2 and 3. Fascinating, isn't it, how 2 Indian team brand names are now at the top of the Formula Regional Middle East Championship. Hyderabad Blackbirds and Mumbai Falcons. They both came from the Indian motorsport world. And here they are in Formula Regional Middle East, having done deals with 2 of the top teams in Europe to compete in Formula Regional Middle East. The Hyderabad Blackbirds, of course, competed in the Indian Racing League just a month ago, getting some fabulous race wins under their belt in that campaign with the assistance of the great Le Mans 24-hour winner Neil Jani. And of course the Mumbai Falcons won the team's title and the driver's title in the Formula Regional Asia last year with Arthur Leclerc. So here we are in Formula Regional Middle East 2023, and it is a very interesting title battle now between these 2 teams. Watch the Blackbirds and the MP Motorsport crews uniting together to catch up to the points tally of the Mumbai Falcons. These 3 drivers, Josh Dirksen, Sami Megatunov and Mari Boya, definitely have the pace here at Kuwait. But Andrea Kimi Antonelli and the Mumbai Falcons have the consistency. That's what's keeping them at the head of the table. Every time Antonelli gets onto the circuit, top 5. We say this time and time again. It's not about what happens when you're winning. It's about what happens when you're not. 3 minutes to go till the start of Q2. And as you can see, the oasis backdrop here in Kuwait, very cool, very foggy, very murky, and the wind is strong. That's why we're getting drivers making mistakes here in qualifying and spinning off the road. Because all it takes is the wrong gust of wind in the wrong direction with the wrong ferocity, and you're going to be thrown off the road. And people really underestimate how big a thing that is in these single-seater cars. You get just the wrong angle, the wrong direction, the wrong gust of wind, and it really does chuck you off the road. You've got to be so careful. It is amazing watching these incredible athletes deal with the pressure and the tension that is mounting on them. But the Blackbirds have risen to the top of Q1. What can they do in Q2? Will it be a repeat performance? You can see that every single car has changed to a fresh set of tyres. They only have 3 set of tyres available to them, all meeting. They've used their first in session 1. They'll use their second in session 2. The biggest problem, of course, is that Townsend Vuvuzak, having gone off the road in Q1, I'm not sure he'll get out there for Q2. I don't think he will. So he'll have to start race 3 from the back of the grid. That is a big headache for the young man from Thailand. But there's still another session to go. In this one, we'll set the grid for race 3 tomorrow evening. The race 2 grid, of course, is the only one that isn't decided by time qualifying. That's decided by the race 1 results this afternoon, with the top 10 positions reversed. Tough regulations, but the drivers know what they sign up for going in. So you can't say, well, that's a bit of a bogus rule. It's not at all. It's there to provide great and excellent racing. Everyone knows what they sign up for going in. You adjust your tactics and your strategy accordingly, and you try to get the most out of the situation over the weekend. So with the absence of Dino Beganovic, who has now returned back to Europe to take on his own European race campaign, the top 3 drivers in the standings effectively now become these 3. Andrea Kimi Antonelli, Taylor Barnard, and the Singaporean Nikhil Bora. So Nikhil Bora has had a win and a second place. They both came from reverse grid races, but other than race 3 in Q8, he hasn't finished outside the points at any point this year. So in terms of consistency, the only driver in the top 5 of the points who has not managed to, or has managed to finish at least 11th place in every single race this year is Nikhil Bora. He is the most consistent, the most he's done more miles, I think, than any other driver this year in terms of finishing races. Everybody else in the top 6 has had at least one DNF, other than Aidan Neate, actually, who is also in that top 6. And he has not finished lower than 12th this year. He's had a 2nd, a 4th, an 8th and 2 9ths. So Aidan Neate is one to watch out for if we're talking about consistency. He's kept it right up at the sharp end as well. So in terms of miles travelled in races this year, nobody has done more at a better performance rate than Nikhil Bora or Aidan Neate. Those are the 2 drivers with the best consistency across the 6 races so far run this year. It would have been Kimi Antonelli, but of course he had the rear suspension collapse on him in race 2 3 days ago. Green light. It's time to get the session underway again. Looks as though some subtle adjustments being made there to Lorenzo Flusha's car, just to get him going again. But out onto the circuit goes Kirill Smal in front of Aidan Neate. And I think that's Luke Browning in the high-tech. We go back into Q2. So the cars go out onto the circuit ready for the 2nd qualifying session. Remember, this doesn't set the grid for race 2, it sets the grid for race 3. So let's see how everybody moves forward. Cars head out onto the circuit. Sami Megatuniv leads Josh Dirksen out. Murray Boyer goes with them. Surely Brad Benavides will be right on their tail. The Race GP cars are trying to split them. There's Andrea Kimi Antonelli, number 12. Out onto the circuit in front of Niels Kuhlen, the Dutchman. The column inches that are being written about Andrea Kimi Antonelli really need to be careful about how much they hype this young man up. Yes, he is an exceptional talent. Yes, he is probably Italy's brightest star in the junior categories, probably since Giancarlo Fisichella back in the 90s. And certainly, Italy has waited a long time for a Formula One world champion. They've only had 2. Giuseppe Farina, and you've got to go all the way back to Alberto Ascari, 1953. They've waited a long time. Is Andrea Kimi Antonelli finally the answer to the question, who's next? There go the Blackbirds, making their way out onto the circuit. This is a fabulous challenge, the Kuwait Motor Town circuit. It is now the longest racetrack in the Middle East, and it's one of the toughest. Elevation changes, differences in camber, differences in corner radius, fast sweepers, blind apexes. And as you can see today, changing weather conditions. It may not be raining, but it's as good as. The temperature is so cold on the circuit that the grip levels will be so different compared to all the testing they did yesterday. They'll have some data, but quite a bit of it may not even be relevant. So this is going to be a very interesting situation. Let's see how things progress. There's Taylor Barnard. He's obviously got to try and do one thing: catch Antonelli in the point scores. So as the drivers dial themselves in to their first flying sectors, it all comes down to how you measure yourself against the opposition, how hard you push, how many more points you score. Antonelli can win this title without even winning a race this year. He just needs to keep on banging in those seconds, thirds, seconds, thirds, seconds, thirds. If you keep your head while all about you are losing theirs, as Rudyard Kipling once wrote, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. So here come the Blackbirds, ready for a great charge forward. There is the 38, that is the Pinnacle. And is driven by the Mexican Rafael Villagomez, who has actually flown a little under the radar this season, but has good speed, good pace, and good potential. Don't count out Villagomez for the chance of a podium upset here, or in Dubai, or in Yas Marina. He has some good skills there. So let's see how it all continues. Competitors are running forward to try and dial in. The GT tyres have to get under pressure. They have to get the heat up before they can really start to go for the lap. Aidan Neat's just done a 1:51.734, so there's still a bit of a time to go. There's the Korean, Michael Shin. Michael Shin is only in his second season of car racing, and he's come straight into Formula Regional, and he didn't do any karting before that either. So Michael Shin, you can point the finger and say he's not doing that great a job, but when you consider that everyone else in the field has had years upon years upon years of karting underneath him, if you ask me, Michael Shin is doing a very admirable job indeed. Tazin Vivazak and the crew at Pinnacle are trying to get him out for some qualifying. Have they done enough? As long as they can get him going and he can get out there, he can set a lap. But it is a race against time. They've only got 10 minutes left. So the pole time provisional is 1:51.7 for Aidan Neat, but that is about to get beaten. Stenshorn gets close to it. But this is the first major flying lap the drivers will have in qualifying. So let's see how it all progresses. Fastest in the first sector is Ayato Iwasaki, the Japanese driver for Pinnacle. Now it's Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Here we go, folks. The Italian stallion is on the march. Down the corkscrew. Plenty of curb. Got to be careful how much you take. If all four wheels leave the road, then that's an infringement of track limits. You can't do it too often. But Aidan Neat's time is about to get beaten. 1:51.7 will not be adequate for pole for long. Stenshorn currently second, then Small, Browning, Shin and Hahn. Neat decreases it to a 1:50.9, but Kirill Smal beats it. Here we go, 1:50.949. Watch the times tumble. Smal is going to be provisional pole for the moment for the Mumbai Falcons, but Andrea Kimi Antonelli is on a solid run. Fastest of all in the second split now, the Italian. Things are about to change in Kuwait as Aidan Neat goes fastest of all in Sector 1 now. Luke Browning comes up to third again. 1:51.0 from the Brit. Happy birthday, Luke. Stenshorn is fourth. Barnard is fifth. Han Shen-Yu in sixth position. Car 22 exceeded track limits on the lap, so it's disallowed. That's Wang Shongwei. Here comes Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Is this going to be the perfect lap? No, he's bailed out of it. So he's going for a quicker lap. Now, throttle application. Belt it. Go for it again. So this lap will not be a good one from Kimi Antonelli. It's a 1:52.2. It's only good enough for fourth. He can go a lot quicker than that. So can Barnard. So can the Blackbirds. They're just taking their time at the back of the field. They're not even up to speed yet. Their sector times are not representative. 27s, 47s. They're not even going for it yet. But you've got to be careful. If that red flag comes out, it's chaos. And the strategy crumbles. Out of the final turn. Ploughing on the throttle. And here we go. This is the first real charge from the Blackbirds. Here we go. Can Sami Megatuniv bang another pole position time in? He did last week. On Saturday, he took the pole position away from Antonelli. Car 28 exceeded track limits. That means the time from Kirill Smal is disallowed. Browning goes pole. 1:48.274 for Luke Browning. Get out the candles. The birthday boy might be about to have a party. Aidan Neat is second behind Luke Browning. But Browning is on the top. And the birthday boy looks quick. Looks really quick. A 1:48.2 is not bad at all. Taylor Barnard beats it though. 1:47.5 from Taylor Barnard. He means business. Josh Dufett goes second on a 1:48.1. But Barnard is half a second quicker than anybody. Kamara just a 10th down now. 1:47.6. Here we go. This is where we're going to get some decent lap times in. Bedrin goes fourth. Montoya up to seventh. And Antonelli gets the provisional pole. 1:47.375 for the Italian stallion. Andrea Kimi Antonelli and Taylor Barnard are now the top two in the session so far. Kamara is third. Up to fourth comes Martinius Stenshorn. the Norwegian new boy. 4th position. Brilliant from Martini Stenshorn. Dufek is in 5th. Bedrin is 6th. Browning is now 7th in front of Neat. Then Sebastian Montoya and Michael Shin doing a great job. The Korean making very steady progress, but there are plenty of drivers who have not set the pace. Here come the Blackbirds, and 2nd is Megatuniv. 2nd is now Dirksen. What about Mari Boya? Mari Boya goes top, 1:47.0. That's a massive lap from the Spaniard. Mari Boya goes provisional pole, 1:47.095, over a quarter of a second faster than Andrea Kimi Antonelli. I've been singing the praises of Mari Boya for 5 years now across World Motorsport. He was an absolute prodigy in Spanish karting, a prodigy in European karting. When he won the FIA Academy Trophy back in 2019, he stepped up to cars. He was strong in F4. He's been strong in Formula Regional. He finally won a race in Dubai in race 3 with a dominant display. And now he's set to go to Formula 3 as one of the favourites amongst the rookies. But here comes Antonelli up over the top of the crest. Taylor Barnard is now the fastest man of them all in the first sector. So anything could still change. Antonelli remains 2nd, cannot improve his time. Car 47 exceeded track limits. That is Aiden, sorry, no, it's not Aiden Neat, it's Nikhil Bora, who is way down at the back at the moment. Tazin Vuvuzak has finally gone out. So Tazin Vuvuzak is out there setting some laps, hopefully, to get him up the order. But Mari Boya is currently pole position, over a quarter of a second quicker than Antonelli. That's big. The Hyderabad Blackbirds by MP really are the team to beat around Kuwait for 1 lap pace. There is the pinnacle of the 88 of Matías Zagazeta, the Peruvian. What can he do as he tries his way through? Flusha gets into the top 10, by the way. And Megatuniv goes fastest. Dirksen goes 3rd. They've all beaten Antonelli again. But Sami Megatuniv's time is a 1:47.077. 18 thousandths of a second quicker than Boya. Megatuniv, just as they did last time out. It was Dirksen in the first session. It's Megatuniv in the second. Just as it was last time. But what can the Mumbai Falcons do? Can they respond? Can Antonelli dig deep and find something? But these Blackbirds by MP Motorsport cars are rocket ships around Kuwait. And Barnard goes back to 5th. And 1:47.5 for him. Antonelli 4th. Kamara, Zagazeta up to 7th. Then it is Stenshorn, Smal and Bedrin. Bedrin just displaces Dufek, who is down to 11th. Then Neat, Benavides, Flusha, Villa Gomez, Montoya, Browning, Shin, Revej, Iwasaki, Mashio, Kulan, Mavliutov, Han, Wang, Bora and Intrafivazak. Bora and Intrafivazak really need to make some improvements now, otherwise they're starting at the back. The Blackbirds are flying over the Falcons and they are making an example of them here in Kuwait Motor Town. 1, 2 and 3 in session 1, 1, 2 and 3 in session 2. They found something pretty darn special too. There is Lorenzo Flusha, the Spanish driver, currently just outside the top 10. Really needs to get himself back in it if he can. Clean exit to the lap. Is this going to be a jump up from Flusha? Yes, it is. Lorenzo Flusha 7th now. Number 7 goes P7. Good run from Flusha. He displaces Zagazeta, Stenshorn and Kirill Smal, his teammate. Now, what about Nikhil Bora? And also, while we're at it, what about Tazin Vuvuzak? Well, the Vuvuzak set a 1:53.7, but Bora's had all his previous laps deleted. What can he do now? Where's Nikhil Bora going to be? But he's just bagged his first lap in, so he needs to get another one under his belt. But he really needs a clean lap to move him up from the back. This is a potential championship contending headache for Nikhil Bora. He does not need to start race 3 from dead last. And looking at the Mumbai Falcons pace, Antonelli is not setting personal bests anymore. Barnard and Kamara are in the second sector, but Antonelli is not. Here's Nikita Bedrin, Watch out for him. He could be a threat. Edging is just outside the top 10, but he's had a smooth lap. What can he do? Not this time. He's dialing in for one more. That's why. This is going to be his fast lap. Antonelli out of the final turn. He's been displaced. Third position now. Antonelli up to third. Barnard up to fourth. Kamara up to fifth. Car 7 has had their time disallowed. That's Flusha for exceeding track limits. But Antonelli, Barnard and Kamara have come up to third, fourth and fifth as Montoya has had to bail out of his final flying lap. Montoya is going to be down in 16th. What a disaster for the Red Bull Junior. But Kamara still feels he could get to the top 2 rows. Kamara sets a 22.9 for Sector 1. That's faster than anybody ahead of him just did. So Kamara might be able to spring himself up. The Brazilian hasn't given up. There's Barnard behind one of the high-techs. I think that was Mavlyutov. But the checkered flag is out for Megatuniv. He does not improve. Nor does Mari Boya. But Antonelli, Barnard and Kamara are all on laps. Dirksen drops to 6th. He can't improve. What about Zagazeta? He remains P9. Luke Brown comes up to 12th on his final lap. A big improvement from the Brit. Kirill Smal doesn't improve. And Kamara's had to bail out. Well, the Brazilian will have to finish in P5 then. What a shame for Kamara. But 5th position is not bad. Car 14 exceeded track limits. That's Taz in the Fivazak. What a shame. And Nikhil Bora, by the way, has leapt up to 18th with his final lap. It's better, but it's not where he wants to be at all. He's right in the middle of the difficulties at turn 1. Inter Fivazak comes up to 21st with his last lap. Again, he's right in the danger zone. Kamara bails on the lap. He won't finish it. What about Antonelli? He's bailed too, so has Barnard, so that's it. It's a front row lockout again for the Hyderabad Blackbirds by MP, Megatuniv and Boya. Sami Megatuniv, the Frenchman, is in pole position again, just as he was 4 days ago. And this time, he won't get it on a disallowed time. He was the fastest, and rightly so. Sami Megatuniv and Joshua Dirksen really have been the speed kings in qualifying in Formula Regional Middle East here in Kuwait. Andrea Kimi Antonelli dug deep and found a lap good enough for third, which, as we've heard people say already, that's where you really want to start from. And as we keep saying in regards to Andrea Kimi Antonelli, this is why he's leading the championship. It's not about what you do when you're winning. It's about what you do when you're not. And third position is exactly where he needs to be. So Barnard is 4th. Bora has made his way up to 18th with his final lap. It's not quite where he wanted to be either, but at least it gets him further forward. But yet again, the Blackbirds have dominated qualifying in session 2. Sami Megatuniv and Mari Boya, 1 and 2. Antonelli is 3rd from Barnard, who gets right up into the hunt again. Kamara in 5th position. Then Josh Dirksen. Martinius Stenshorn in a brilliant 7th place for the Norwegian in his first event in Formula Regional. Lorenzo Flusha in 8th position from Matthias Zagazeta and Kirill Smal. Then Nikita Bedrin and the birthday boy Luke Browning. Joshua Dufek and Aidan Neat. There is the pole position sitter, Sami Megatuniv. A great run. This is a great middle stint of the season for the Hyderabad MP team. The Blackbirds are coming. Behind Dufek and Neat is Brad Benavides in 15th place. Then Rafael Villa-Gomez in front of Sebastian Montoya and Nikhil Bora. Then Michael Shin and Levent Revej. Taz Intravabazak ahead of Ayato Iwasaki. Niels Kulin and Han Shin Yu from Giovanni Macchio. Dan Mavlyutov and Wang Zhongwei at the back. Sensational stuff. It really has been a thrilling qualifying session. Just when you think you know who's going to get pole, MP Motorsport show up and blitz it. Excellent stuff. Great qualifying once again, and we are going to have a fantastic run for the 2 races this afternoon. We have an F4 UAE Championship race and a Formula Regional Middle East Championship race here at Kuwait Motor Town this afternoon. Do please tune in for it. I'm Jake Sanson. Let's go racing this afternoon.